good. Everything is looking good. Okay, good. We're looking good. Thanks. Thanks for the heads up. Okay, good. Live and direct. Blessings. Thanks for tuning in. Good night. Good night, Milan. Milushka. Okay, good. Everybody see me good? Everybody could hear me good? Let me know if you can hear me good. My end, everything looking good. So yeah, good night everybody. Thank you for joining. Yeah, like I say, I decided to do this podcast because I wanted an outlet. I needed an outlet to share my views and my solutions to different things. So yeah, I decided to create this podcast. Today, like I say, it's gonna be more of a like getting to know me. Good night, Ezra. Blessings. Okay, good, Alain. Bless. Nice to see you. Yeah, so today I'm going to be going through the structure of the podcast moving forward and, just a kind of get to know me episode. Talk about what made me get into politics, what made me join Toastmasters, what made me have such a business acumen and various things of that nature. So we're gonna get into it very soon. Waiting on one person tell me that they're coming on. Oh, good, everything looking good. Live and direct. Amen. God bless. Like I said, thank everybody for joining. I know you guys could have been anywhere tonight, but you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate that. Good night, DTM, Jackie B. Nice to see you. Welcome. So I'll go ahead and get started. Everything looking good. Hey Diana, blessings. Nice to see you. Welcome. Okay. That is it. we live and direct. Yeah. We ain't begging no galaxy though. But yeah, so welcome everybody. Welcome to this All Over It podcast where we're going to get down to business. For those who don't know me, my name is Oliver Williams, born and raised on the beautiful island of St. Martin. I am the last son of Oliver Williams Sr. and the first and only son of Mary Craitoff Williams. I'm very passionate about agriculture, passionate about business, and a deep lover of St. Martin. I love my country very deeply. I'm an active Toastmasters member, which I actually have my pins. And I'm a communicator and I'm a leader. So I decided to do this podcast because I have a problem solving mindset and a solution oriented mindset. And I have a lot of ideas and solutions to problems, mainly faced here locally in St. Martin, but also global things that I see could better our whole planet, let's say. Good night, Boston. Blessings, blessings. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you. Good night, good night. Yeah, so like I was saying, during my campaign, I champion agriculture, but I have solutions to many other ideas. For instance, infrastructure, telecommunications, GB, even price control, let's say financial solutions, economic diversification, things along that nature. So many things. So I decided I'll create my own outlet and yeah, share with you. So this is the start of something beautiful. So my slogan during my campaign was reigniting the fire within St. Martin. And for me, this going to be my first avenue to do that. Because that's what it's about. You know, we got to wake up people, and there's a lot of pain and hurt in my country, and we have to change that for the better. So on this podcast, I'm gonna talk a lot about business because I love business. I all about business, and yeah, financial literacy and understanding management of money and how to elevate your finances is something that a lot of people don't really know the best practices of. So all of these things I can touch on. I can talk about my personal investment journey. Currently I been investing in some stocks. Welcome Mel. Sorry, reading the comments and talking. But you know, I here with all you. I write here. I appreciate the love and I appreciate all you for joining. And yeah, so like I say, talk about business a lot. So expect that and expect to see talk about the stock market. I'll be showing the S&P 500, like the heat map, which I could actually show a little bit of it right now. Let me just touch on it a little bit. Okay. So yeah, this is like the stock heat map, which shows how the S&P 500 looking for today. So a few weeks ago, this whole thing was red, like across the board. But like yesterday, day before, not day before, sorry, on Friday, sorry, it was actually looking green. Things was looking very, very good. You say you can't hear? That's strange. Everybody else hearing me good, right? Yeah. Okay, good. What good, my brother? Yeah, we are. Okay, good. Tune in on a big screen. I like that one. We live. Gotta see how come Ava can't really see what's going on though. But either ways, let me get back to the meat of the matter. So just wanted to show you guys a little bit of that, and I guess you get to see a little bit of the controller. So yeah, like I say, I'm gonna be talking a lot about business, about the financial markets and the global market, things going on in the market. And yeah, my structure for this podcast is as follows. I'll start with a welcome greeting. You know, welcome everyone that come in, give a little time for people to join. Then I'll move on to a motivational message. So, especially in my Toastmasters club, I tend to do a lot of speeches, which is like motivational, trying to inspire people to take action, to say simply. So, I plan to incorporate some of that into the podcast as well. Then I'll move on to local or global solutions to issues faced. And then I'll more go into like the global economy and, like I said, the financial markets and things of that nature. I'll do a segment of a high powered move of the week, talking about things that happen, important things. Let's say, for instance, right now with how they have all these tariff wars, or for instance, the situation in Africa with the gentleman Ibrahim kicking out certain colonial powers, different things of that nature. I'll touch on a little bit later down in the segments. Eventually, I'll also periodically start doing interviews with persons, maybe on financials and dividends. I already spoke to someone about interview talking about dividend and their dividend journey, because this gentleman basically lives off of dividends right now, and he's traveling and forever on cruises and in different countries, and it's all off of dividends. So right now I'm on that journey, and I could tell you for sure in January I made my first investment in PEY. If anybody interested, they could go and check it out. But I'll also dive deeper in on it in a later episode. But yeah, in January I invested a small investment. It was like $14 because I had recently get back access to that platform, and I had a little change there. So I said, you know what, let me put it somewhere smart. And literally a few days after, I already got back payment, and it was like, wow. So since then I've been consistently okay, good. I glad to hear that. And we could always collaborate because education is key, and I believe in unity because one hand can't clap, and one hand wash another always. You can't wash your hands like this. So I believe in unity and coming together. Salute, salute. So yeah, for sure, I going to be talking about a lot about investments, and like I say, periodically showing my journey as well and showing where I'm at. Like I was mentioning, I initially invested in PEY, and since then I've been consistently investing in that and another dividend ETF, which I'll explain all of these things at a later date. But yeah, just know it's gonna be good. And my goal is to empower you and to initiate discussions which could help propel our country and planet forward. So like I said, today episode gonna be more like getting to know me. So why I am so entrepreneurial, because I grew up, honestly, we always had some form of business. I remember my mother, she used to bake cakes, especially around Easter and Christmas time. Still to this day, she has some loyal customers that she still bakes for. She also used to make Mabi, Poncho Cuba. We actually currently does make Poncho Cuba for various customers. And different other products. We actually used to do food sales too, which once a month on Saturdays for $10. $10 only. You would get a plate of food with three different type of rice, which would be like rice and peas, yellow seasoned rice, like the yellow rice with the little vegetables in it. saltfish and rice. Then you'll get macaroni pie, scallop potato, potato salad, green salad, and sometimes coleslaw or like a macaroni salad. And of course, with your choice of meat, whether chicken, ribs, combo, whole fish, whether steam or fry, like goat meat, you name it. And of course, plantain. Can't forget the plantain. And yeah, I was the one who used to have to do the grilling. So we used to like pre-cook the meat in the oven, so kind of like half cook it before we throw it on a grill. So by the time I put it on a grill, it would be like falling off the bone. And those times I used to lather the meat with barbecue sauce. Like now I don't use barbecue sauce at all. I like to taste the seasoning, you know. But yeah, back then I was kind of wasting the barbecue sauce. But yeah, I always was on a grill from back then, even though sometimes I used to dread it. Sometimes I used to go out the night before and still have to get up early. But I would say all of those things is what does like help instill that drive in you, because when you got business, even if you want to stay in your bed, you gotta get up and go. And that's how it'll be a lot of times, you know. So yeah, so going back to the barbecue, we used to sell tickets, and especially those times, my father had like his taxi friends, so he used to sell a lot of tickets. He was the brunt of the tickets, but we used to sell out the tickets and sometimes even still sell extra food. And my father, when he would go out, we would load up his van with like sometimes like 30 plate of food, and he'll come back empty, talking stories about how the taxi man and were fighting over the food, checking, yeah, he ain't coming for it, I can take it, like all these funny stories and thing, good times. And one thing I could say too, my father, he always been like a hustler, like a entrepreneur too, so I could say I get that from him for sure, without a question. And, always figuring out a way to make money. And he well versed in financial literacy as well, so he could give you great advice on managing your mortgage or other loans, or similar tips, although he himself would spend his last to make sure pay any debt he has, which some people might say that's not really the most best practice financially, but I could say he make it work for himself, and he make a good life for himself following his principles. So I respect him for that. And yeah, for sure, very hard working man. I see my father do all kind of work, mechanic work, plumbing, landscaping, electrical, various skills and jobs. My father, he work all over, fire department, airport, GB water company, in a casino. He work as price controller in economic affairs. That's why I talk about price control and why I know like certain fixes that could help solve our problem here right now, because basically consumers here get horribly treated. Let me just put it like that. And let me say, in conversations with other people I talk to, let me say like a gentleman from Bahamas, he talk about how, not Bahamas, Barbados, sorry. He talk about how over there they have like consumer laws to protect the consumer, so that the businesses can't just put whatever price that, like you have to pay whatever they say, type thing. So they have like some type of control that, alleviate things for now you who's a person that gotta go in the shop and buy things from the companies and the businesses, so all these different things. Anyways, going back to like I was talking about with my father, he was actually the personal chauffeur to the governor for quite some years as well. And then currently he is a taxi driver, like I mentioned, and he has been so for almost 20 years. But one thing I could say, my father, he don't play about his money. When I was growing up, he always used to tell me, he used to have two jobs, and he leave one at 4 and start the next one at 5, and then after he finish the next one, he just come home, catch a quick sleep, and is repeat. So on top of all of that, he own real estate projects. He was also the one who pushed a lot of my mother's projects, when they get married. So he know a lot of various things in construction and things along that nature. So okay, yeah, good. Just making sure everything looking good. Sorry. Yeah, so with construction, so he himself, does mix cement properly, which I have to mention. Hey, okay, good night. I guess you could hear me now. Hey, Jackie A. DTM Jackie A, blessings. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so, like mixing cement, a lot of people don't really mix cement properly, mix concrete. So tying steel, laying blocks, rough casting, plastering, pinning windows, the works, which I also know all of these things well too, because I've been there. For instance, we did a project a few years ago, I want to say like 2021, which we built a wall. The wall was over 80 feet long, because it was about, like 60 feet up, and then I'll say like 20 feet across. And yeah, it was four of us: me, my father, the main contractor, and then one of my partners. Hi Teresa, hi Teresa. Blessings, good evening. So the four of us, we do all the work. I remember a day mixing 20 bucket of sand and gravel mix, with cement and thing. And one thing I'll say, that type of work, it'll beat you up, but it's very rewarding, I could say. And I'll say, in my opinion, that's one thing that kind of missing in, like, I would say the younger generation, or missing these days, is like that sense of a pride, I'll say, but that rewarding feeling you get, like when you see something that you thought of come to reality. So for instance, I remember I was working with another gentleman, big up Valdi and Sons, one time, and we was doing shutter installation, like installing like accordion or roll up shutters. Yeah, don't worry, more stories gonna come. Don't More stories gonna come, self God. Bless. And yeah, so like I was saying, I was working with a gentleman. Hi Ariana, hi Ariane. Yeah, so oh, that's mom. Hey, bless. I just catch the name, like blessings, blessings. Love you too. But yeah, so like I was saying, I was working with a gentleman, and we was installing like shutters at different locations, whether commercial or residential. And I remember the first project we do, after we had finished, we clean up and things. Cause the project take a couple days. I want to say like 4 days or so. Yeah, I catch on. Right. Yeah, so the project had take like 4 days. Same thing, like hard work. Because you gotta lift up the shutter, lift up the equipment, drill, all kind of different thing. But I remember after I would drive past that place, and every time I look up and checking, like, wow, I do that, and like I say, that sense of pride is something that I would say missing in a lot of the younger generation. But anyways, so yeah, like I say, my parents well versed, and I have to give them the props and give them the flowers now while they're here. So that's this portion of the segment, giving them the flowers. But I could say they really put on for the city. They do a lot for of course themselves, their family, but also the country on a whole, you know. My father was a big campaign advocate, campaign manager. He used to campaign hard for a lot of these politicians that came and went. Some they are still, you know. So I gotta give respect, and I could say for sure I have a lot of respect for both of them. And you know, they're not easy all the time, but I could say they instill some good principles in me. I would say a good blend of hardworking, mathematical, and technical. And I find that's a good mix. So yeah, my mother, she worked in the census office. She good at financials, but also she always been a very assistive person, you know. So she would always help out people in need when she could, and different things like that. So I say all of that to say, like, I could see or attribute a lot of my qualities from these different places. You know, observing and reflecting on my past and how I am now. I could see like all the different things that I have been through has molded me to be the man that I am here right now on this live stream with all of you all. Which once again, I thank y'all for joining. Blessings, appreciate y'all for coming and taking the time out. So yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. I gotta appreciate them, you know. Like I say, they ain't always easy, but I love them. I love them back, you know, and I want to see longevity in their life as well. You know? So that's why I always try to tell them, take care of yourself, because you know it ain't easy, and going by the doctor all the time and everything, and people dropping left, right, and center every day, you know. So and I always tell everybody, them especially, like, take care of yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Your health come first. Yes, Oliver Williams Senior, and this is Oliver Williams Jr. Amen. If he's on your side, you say, I think it looking good on everybody else side. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what's going on. Okay. Well, yeah, if everything looking good for you, let me know. If anything not looking good, let me know. If anything change, if anything stop or anything like that, just let me know. If you could hear me, but a video freeze or anything of that nature, inform. Fuck. I could also check. Blessings, blessings. Yes, sir. Everybody could hear me still, right? Because I just making sure, I want to make sure everybody there with me still. Okay, good. I still seeing comments coming in, so that's a good sign. Let me know, let me know. I know like this. It's like hot. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Yeah, live still. Okay. Yeah. Still getting dark, so everything looking good. Right. Let me know, those on the YouTube, let me know if everything looking good for you still. Gotta make sure everybody good. Both sides are going. Okay, good. Loud and clear. So we back on track. Anyway, so yeah, like I say, I could attribute a lot of my traits from my parents, and I could say I appreciate the okay, once say loud and clear, once say freeze. I understand that. I understand why now. Okay, you should be here with it. I think you should be hearing me now. I think you should be hearing me now again. Okay, I know why it's happening, but okay, let me do this. Amen, amen, my brother. Blessings, blessings, Asani, and that is it. That is it. We have to make use of every benefit from the fiber to home. Yeah. But I actually let's see. Trying to cut back on some of the usage. We should be good to go again. Blessings, blessings. Yeah, so like Hassani said, like that's the idea for me, like showing people like we have a lot of value and we gotta use it. And a good example, the 27th of April, I do a speech in my Toastmasters club, whereas I talk about social media enhancement. And I would say a lot of people have a lot of skills that they don't really share with the world, or they don't really share with much people. But if you was to share it with the world, you'll firstly, it could be lucrative for you, but also you could be an inspiration to other people too. Like let me say, like maybe if you'd have cut grass, but the way how you'd have cut grass, you have a specific like technique you to use to make it easier for you. Like you'll be surprised if you show that how it could blow you up. Is like this quote I like that I had to say the first time I saw it. It said, find the purpose that's within you and nurture it. So that's basically my mission for myself and to inspire others in the same way. So that's the vibes. Paying attention because it's looking like the stream and a lot stream full. And YouTube, I mean on Facebook, YouTube like it dropping a little bit, but I can get it organized because I like YouTube. I believe in YouTube and their platform and their mission. So honestly, I consider YouTube like the new cable TV, and I think that's the mission to overtake like previous TV. Now, of course, Netflix is a big competition for them in that regard, but let's be honest, everybody does go to YouTube for everything. You know, if you want to learn something, if you want to watch TV, if you want to listen to music, YouTube. So, just trying out the Alphabet company, group of companies. Anyway, so like I said today, I want to talk a little bit about me and what brought me here to this part. Okay. Yeah, just making sure everything good. Making sure everything good. You know, so I would say growing up I had a really island life. I live a really island life. You know, I used to go fishing. Like I say, I used to do agriculture and thing. I used to be climbing trees and planting trees, and me and my friends we used to go like adventuring through the bush, like up through the hills and thing, just going through and through. We used to chase chickens and all kind of different things, like really outside, like yeah, we used to play 64 Nintendo 64 and thing in between, but me and my friends we was outside children riding bike, all kind of thing, you know. So that's one thing I could say. I used to go fishing with my father. You know, we used to go diving conch, picking wilks around the rocks, all kind of different thing. We actually had a fish pot that we used to throw out like over oyster pond side. And yeah, we used to get like little lobster, like crayfish, you know, the smaller ones, and you know, like doctor fish, other different like pot fish, things of that nature. You know, used to be nice. We used to go like fishing too, like spear fishing and like with a rod and thing. Mainly spear fishing though. I used to like the spear fishing. Hey, cuz pastor. Welcome. Hope everything looking good and sounding good on our end. Let me know. Make sure if anything change, keep me informed. I am the technician. But yeah, so yeah, like I say, used to do a lot of like fishing, and I actually had my own little fishing gun and thing. So yeah, we used to have a good time. You know, I used to go traveling and thing. We used to travel a lot of different places, especially when I was young. You know, we went a lot of different places like Dominica, St. Kitts, basically all the Dutch Caribbean islands. I only ain't reached Bonia, but I'm actually traveling to Bonia in like the next 2 weeks. So that gonna complete me going to all the Dutch Caribbean islands. But yeah, so I do a lot of traveling. You know, we been all over. We used to go Puerto Rico a lot, a lot. I used to love Sizzlers. But Rio Piedras and thing over there in Puerto Rico was a common spot for us. Yeah, we went all over Aruba, Curacao. I went Martinique playing steel pan. I went Anguilla. I played steel pan in Anguilla when I was small. I went Simbats. I played steel pan in Simbats. Saber, same way. I'm trying to think. I've been to a lot of places. A lot. And yeah, like I say, I live a good childhood. I had break my hand once when I was like 4 5 years old. I actually fell over a wall and broke my whole left arm. Was in a cast. I remember my parents wasn't home at the time, so yeah. I come in with yeah, I gonna be there just now, Milushka. But yeah, so I ended up falling over a wall which was about like 12 to 15 feet high, and my parents wasn't at home. It was just the person who used to clean up the house. And I remember when she noticed that I fell over the wall, she fly come wrong and I died laughing. It was hilarious how she like came wrong frantically. But anyways, yeah, she brought me back in the house, called my parents, they bring me by the hospital. They put my hand in a car switch. I remember, I think because I had get it wet, we had ended up having to take it off early. And actually, my father himself ended up cutting it off. Take a big scissors and cut it off. And I remember like the skin was looking a little, you know, not too appealing, but I'm good now. We're strong, back in action. So yeah, some people will feel like when you go through certain things, like it's the end, but you could come up stronger on the other side. But going back to the point at hand, like I mentioned, growing up, I had a good life. I grew up playing steel pan basically. I played steel pan for a lot of years of my life, from like the third grade up until I went to college. Even when I went to college, they actually had a small steel pan band in my college. Ironically, I didn't know that before I went. And when I reached, they actually sought after me. So, that was cool too. Because I guess they had heard that I used to play from here in St. Martin. So literally like a few weeks into me reaching to the school, kind of like settling a little bit, like they come asking me to join a thing. So that was a cool experience too. Because of joining day, I ended up going Orlando to play with it. We perform in different places in Miami, perform. We went West Virginia once, which that was a trip like 25 hours driving, like longest road trip I ever been on. Honestly, after I do that trip, I say I can never feel like nothing far in St. Martin again. Like traffic in St. Martin can't bother me again after dealing with that. But I could say Steel Pan has brought me places, and I also very appreciative for the years I spent playing steel pan and the discipline that was instilled in me because of steel pan. Because I basically was working as a steel pan performer, entertainer for a large portion of my life before I went away to college. So, and it's funny how I get into steel pan too, because actually I wasn't supposed to be playing steel pan. I was supposed to be playing basketball. But that's how life goes. I remember I joined and I had joined a basketball after school program. And I remember on the first day, I end up getting upset. I end up crying, call my parents, tell them come pick me up. I don't want to be in this class no more. And yeah, basically they come, and when they spoke to the teacher tell them, well, the only other option I have is to do the steel pan. So I end up joining. They bring me up to the room the same day, and I remember I had start one time, like literally walk in the class, they put sticks in my hand and they telling me I play this, and I would say I was in love ever since. And yeah, like I say, steel pan bring me a lot of places. Through steel pan, I branched off. I started playing the bass guitar as well, because I always loved bass. And I end up going all the way to Holland in a competition playing the bass guitar in a small band as well. Whereas we won the competition, so kudos and blessings, God's blessings, self. But yeah, so God bless, God's plan will always prevail, and what He see fit is what going to happen always, So yeah, like I say, I joined the steel pan, and I was playing ever since. I remember the first year they had the concert, because every year, Dow Dow's Musical Foundation, because I played steel pan with the mighty Dow and Dow's Musical Foundation, and every year they would have a Christmas concert. And I remember the first year I played in a concert, I was like, of course, nervous, stage fright, horribly shaking, wondering, worrying how things gonna go, what I gonna do. Hey, Andy, blessings, and people that tell you all kind of things to get you over the anxiety in the stage fright. People that tell you, yeah, just focus on one person in the crowd, or some people that even say, yeah, imagine the people naked, or all those nonsense. Well, whatever works for you, But I would say what stuck with me since back then was, I remember the guy came and he said, like, just do your best. You know, they gonna either like it or they ain't gonna like it. So once you do your best, you practice. So just do your best. And I guess that gave me like a little feeling of relief, like a sigh of relief. Like, okay, yeah, we get over that. Like you say, like, is whatever. Once we get through it, And I remember I went up and like you say, I just did my best. I just played what I know that we was practicing for weeks on end prior. And I remember after we was done, it was a big applause, big applause. I can't remember if that year they had they gave us a standing ovation, because we did get multiple different years, but yeah, grand round of applause. And I remember that too kind of also solidified or reinforced the comfort, I would say, because it was like, you see, yeah, you was worrying up yourself, and look, everybody loved it, and yeah, it was a nice experience from since then. And I would say I could attribute me not being afraid of being in front of a crowd to that. Like, of course, you're gonna always have nerves. You're gonna be like, okay, you hope you do good, you hope you prepare enough, and that it's well received and things like that. But yeah, it's like once you prepare and once you do your best, everything gonna go good. And even if they don't like it, you did your best. So just like on to the next one. Or maybe some might not like it, but some might like it. So like they say, you can't please everybody in certain instances. So yeah, just gotta go for it sometimes, take that leap of faith. So like I say, steel pan really bring me a lot of places. I really been places. We used to play on the truck for carnival. We used to play in the village. Personally, when I reached to a certain age, even in high school, when I was in high school, I used to be performing different places. So I would go school, after school, catch the bus, and then stop in Phillipsburg by the old government building, and then catch the water taxi to the harbor and go up there and perform for the guests disembarking the cruise ship. And that was me for a long time, like quite a couple of years. And like I say, on top of that, performing at different hotels, whether Oyster Bay, DV, Great Bay when they was there, Sonesta, and the airport for people when they coming off the airplanes as well. Usually those would be strictly Saturdays though. Even when we had the Blue Mall, we used to play in front of the Blue Mall and thing. So yeah, I have performed for numerous amounts of people, like countless in numerous different settings, and like I have been an entertainer for a long period of my life, but also an instructor, because even since then, like you'll have times where you'll have to teach, let me say, other classmates apart, or even a little later on, thou started doing these summer camps with the steel pan summer camp. So at that point, I used to be an instructor in the summer camp. So I used to be teaching the students that come in how to, you know, play, teaching them musical theory, different things along that nature. How, like how my cousin Akin mentioned about Chester. Chester used to be there teaching the students how to make a pan, showing them how they just like burn it to, get the metal like malleable, soft, so it could be like grooved and shaped how they want, all these different things. So yeah, steel pan and music was a big part of my life for a long time. When I got into the bass, I really had loved that, because for a long time I had loved bass. Even now, like I could say I still a musician, it's still in me, because even when I go out to events or so, for instance, it's been carnival now, and I just catch myself sometimes, like when the live music playing, my hands going like as if I playing the music too, so it's still here, and although I don't play like before, I still have the love for the music. I say I want to get a steel pan, a personal one for myself. I actually discussed with one of my friends from down there, Trinidad, about that. But, side note, I digressed. So, yeah, steel pan music, like I say, end up going to Holland playing steel pan, which was a great experience. First time really experiencing snow, and, making snowballs and trying to make snowman and all those type of things. Young. I was 16 when we went up there. So it was a cool experience though. It was five of us. Basically they had a competition of original arrangements. So nothing that like somebody else make. It would have to be like a song made by the people in the group originally. So we made an arrangement which Jabari, York, Daw's son, he had an arrangement he had come up with. So we just, put it all together at the baseline. I remember practicing for that show. I remember weeks, because Dow had come, he gave me this bass line that was lovely, like a little riff in between. And I remember the first time he played, I like, what I be you play there? And I remember I was playing that weeks, because I wasn't getting it. Like my fingers just was not complying. And I feel like, the all of that shows like the power of practicing, the power of discipline, and the power of like really believing in yourself, believing that you could do it, because like I say, first time I see it, I like, what's that? I can't do that, and long story short, I practice, and we went and we win, like I say. So it was a great experience, and like I say, all of those things I would say like reinforce that feeling of like you can do it, like that determination and that persistence, like yeah, like that drive to say like yeah, nothing is too big, no adversary is too big to overcome, like I just say I laugh in the face of adversity because I can overcome it, but yeah, so that was a cool experience because yeah, like I say, five of us leaving from little 37 square miles St. Martin, traveling to Holland, playing against people from all over the world, Morocco, Greece, all over, and yeah, we come out on top. It was a wonderful feeling. Hey, good evening, DT America, blessings. Evening, Viva, blessings, blessings. Nice how you could join. Yeah, so I could say for sure, steel pan and music also has brought me a lot of places and has instilled a lot of discipline within me too. Because at the end of the day, discipline is staying persistent and keep at something that going to work out eventually. So that's how I live and that's how I feel towards a lot of things. So like I said, music is in me and it's been in me from since the third grade. Which, talking about the third grade, basically I've been to, let me touch on my schooling. I attended the Mac Primary School, Methodist Agaric Center, Borrelia F. Millard Campus. I graduated there in 2006, whereas I went on to the St. Dominic High School. And one thing I'll say, that was a transition for me because I don't want to toot my own hand, but when I was in primary school, it was a little easy. Like, really, not trying to like sound proud or anything, but like the content was a little more of a breeze than when I went on to high school, I could say. And I would say that's because, which I guess I give my parents credit again. When I was young, my father used to make me and my sister do like these like workbooks. So like by Van Dorp and so on, you could have buy like these exercise like kind of magazine type books, whereas they had them for like each grade level. So like because of that, like me and my sister, we would be advanced. Like for me, when I was in third grade, I was doing like fifth grade books. So I guess because of that, I was already kind of advanced on the material. So by the time I reached to it, it's like I already know it already, and it kind of came a little easier. And yeah, so I could say I appreciate my parents for doing that as well. Oh Lord, once again, what are we saying? You saying everything good? Let me know if everything good on your end. Let me know. Somebody say freeze. I want to know if everything looking good for everybody. My internet, the internet should be working good. I got good internet, so. But yeah, so going back into it, I went on to the St. Dominic High School, whereas I would say I did well. I ended up only staying back once in my life, like repeating a class, which was when I went to the third form, so like basically midway into my high school journey, which is funny. That story funny too because when I initially went into third form, that's where like they split you up whether you're gonna be like in a business stream or a science stream. So I chose the science stream, and the when I ended up repeating, my teachers ended up taking the science package and put me in business, which I felt was kind of unfair because I was like, okay, you're already making me repeat. You could at least leave me stay with the science package. But I would say, in hindsight, I'm grateful for that as well too, because I guess too that also played a role in my passion and love for business, because I remember those classes up to now. I remember I had POP class. I used to love that. Principles of business. My principles of accounting class I didn't really like too much, but I think that was more because of the professor. So I didn't really have much of the interest in the accounting class at that time, but I could say later on in my life, like a few years ago when I was in the States studying, or even after that, I did some like more personal research on, like, reading balance sheets and, understanding the different financial statements and things along that nature. So at that point, I could say, like, I felt like I wish I had paid more attention back in high school. But that's why I say probably because of the professor, because maybe if I had a different professor, I might have been a little more involved, and then I would have picked up a little more. But one thing for sure, I always been good at maths and numbers. I like the technical aspect of it, but I also am like a detailed person. I like understanding things on a deeper level. So yeah, it is numbers and maths is me. I love that. Anyway, so going back to my schooling, after completing my schooling, my high school studies. Hey, what's up, Michael? Blessings, my brother. Yeah, so after I finished high school, I graduated in 2012 from the Synamnik High School, and I actually took a year off. Whereas I went back to the school, I inquired with I inquired with my class professors at the time to accompany the fifth farm class of that year in taking advanced mathematics, chemistry, and physics, because my goal initially was to start an engineering program when I went on to my studies. So I was of the thought at the time that I was required to have these science prerequisites in order for me to go in to that program. But long story short, I was mistaken, which ironically I applied to college and I never even used those grades. But yeah, funny story. Because I actually end up failing those exams. But I could say I am grateful for the experience, especially learning alongside the fifth form class, because certain of the material we learned then, I did end up getting back when I went to college, which because of that, I kind of had a foundation in it already as well. Blessings, Eddie, blessings. Nice to see you, my brother. Been a little while. Hope everything good. I don't even know where you be sometimes, but you don't know. Bless. But yeah. So I, like I said, thought I had to do science classes in order to go on to the engineering program, but I didn't have to. Being as my SAT scores was good, I had like over 1300. When I went to college, they put me in pre-calculus in my first semester, which I feel like, they kind of throw me in the water. So, but anyway, yeah, so I ended up taking a year off, did those classes. Like I said, unfortunately, I failed the exam, but I did gain a lot of insight and knowledge during those sessions, which it did translate for me when I went to college. Because, like, for instance, when they was talking about like derivatives and integrals and things along those lines, I had already get those things in high school, which I have to say too, I would say I feel like our educational system here in St. Martin is on a higher level of that in the US. And I say that because, like, when I went into college, like I say, I get put in pre-calculus my first semester, and like most of my other classmates was in like college algebra and like remedial math and things along that nature. And I'm like, those things are you getting, I was doing like in third farm, like second farm, third farm, and now you here struggling with that. But that's not throwing no shade on nobody nor their educational system. I just use that as an example to show like the difference, you know. But yeah, when I went to college, I initially had planned to do a engineering automotive engineering program, because even from when I was a young boy, like maybe like 6 7, I remember I used to like be drawing little designs in my copy books and thing, and I would say like, yeah, this is going to be like a car I going to design when I grow up and things along that nature. So I have a passion for vehicles. I love automotive, cars, trucks, bikes, boats, planes, you name it. You know, I I love cars. I love bikes for sure. You know, and yeah. So when I was deciding to go into studies, I was at first thinking to do automotive engineering, but I decided to shift or pivot a little bit from that and do mechanical engineering, because at the time my thought process was that is going to be more general. So instead of only being focused on engineering cars, like I said, I could be more versatile. I could do a plane, I could do anything that's motorized, So that was my intention or thought process at the time. I ended up changing to computer science, which I feel, especially now, was a great move, especially being on this live. I mightn't have been so versed on getting all of this set up and getting everything going if I was more focused on the engineering, but for sure, engineering is very lucrative as well. But, anyways, I started my mechanical engineering program. So when I went to Florida Memorial University in 2014, I started in a mechanical engineering program. It was a joint program between Florida Memorial and Florida International University, FIU. So it would be 2 years in FMU and 2 years in FIU. When prior to those 2 years, the end of the first 2 years in FMU, I I decided to change for various reasons. Firstly, I would say financially, because how it was, study financing was given like 7,500 a semester, which is like 15 a year, so 2 semesters a year. And my tuition was like 11,000 and change. So like 22,000, 23,000, and it basically increased every year. Let me put it like that. So obviously study financing wasn't covering everything, so I would be fortunate as much to get the rest of it from my father, or here and there I'll work too and try to make something to add to it as well. And yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons why I decided to not go FIU, because FIU now was like 13,000-14,000 a semester. So that'll be a whole nother like 2-3 grand gotta pull out of the ear. So I would say that was one of the highest factors. But also too, like me changing to the computer science was better for me too, and that's how my advisor had bring it across to me that if I change, then I can be in a better position credits wise and everything to graduate and all these different things. So, and on top of that, I said to myself, computers are everywhere and they're just advancing more and more. And if you look at it, they got computer and everything. They even got computer and fridge and washing machine and thing now. So I decided to make that transition, and honestly I am glad for it, because yeah, all of that is what have me here talking to you all at the moment. That's all of the experiences I have had in my life has brought me to this time and has made me the man I am. So yeah, thankful for everything and all the transitions God has done or brought into my life, even when I thought I was going this way and he switched me so. And then it's like, what, the grass green over here on this road, but. So I appreciate it for my life, and yeah, I just, like I say, want to share with you my thought process, my inspirations, my, everything. I want us to grow together. So yeah, like I say, I went FMU, I transitioned to computer science, yeah. And yeah, I graduated in 2019. Yeah, so I started 2014, graduated in 2019, which I actually finished December 2018, but graduation is only in May, so I had to wait till the following year in May. So I ended up staying in the US for a year through what's called a OPT, which is optional practical training, which is a program that allows international students to stay and work in the US for a year, and depending on your stream, you can also extend it for up to 2 years, 2 additional years. Let me put it like that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to extend, which I did try. I even went to immigration lawyers to ask them like what I could do, or things along that nature. But yeah, that didn't work out. So, anyways, after graduating from FMU, stayed a year in Miami. I worked, whereas I could say I had like the jobs I had when I was in the US. And yeah, in 2020 February, actually on the leap day, I came back to St. Martin, which that's a whole story by itself, because on that day, for the first time in my life, I ended up missing a flight. And I ain't gonna lie, my heart was in my boomsy. Because the thing is, I was living like 10 minutes away from the airport, and I ended up reaching late because I had to, like, you know, I'll be transparent with you guys. I had to use the bathroom. And yeah, basically, long story short, by the time I reached there, the lady gonna tell me, yeah, check-in closed 5 minutes ago. And I check in like, boy, yo, if it was 5 minutes ago, you could leave me go now. But you know how it goes. So Had to go stand in a line for a long time to see what they could do to, reschedule me and so on. When I gone, the closest thing was, okay, that was the Saturday. The closest thing was the Tuesday. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I don't send my whole life back to Martin and like, what I gonna do? Where I gonna go? Like, so the lady tell me like, yeah, well, it's supposed to have a Spirit flight. I was on JetBlue initially. And when I gone, I had to run because how it is, these airports big, and it was the Spirit flight was in a next terminal, so I had to like run out of that terminal, run in the next terminal, try get in that line because the next flight too was going, maybe like an hour, 2 hours after from the time when I was looking at it. So I checking like on a mission now. At least I went, I get through, had to pay for, a whole next ticket, pay for the bag to go through everything, like check bag. Had to rush, go straight to immigration because, the lady checking your boarding and start just now. And yeah, that was a whole hectic day. I remember I was there like worried. I was worried. I ain't gonna lie, straight up. But I remember when I reached to the gate, I felt a little relief. But then, for sure, when I sat down in the plane, I was like, okay, good, we good, we good. I called my mother, I tell her, yeah, I come in. You make sure I'm there when I reach, and yeah, I reached back St. Martin, February 29th, 2020, the leap day. And I ran it that day because look what happened in the world. Like literally 2 weeks after, it was COVID. I come back here, eager and happy, checking yeah, going to come back and contribute to the, economy, contribute to my country. And yeah, everything get put on hold. So yeah, that was a little crazy. And all of that, I could say God bless for the mentality I have too, because I was down for a while and times like I come back, I didn't get a job till like the following year. So thank God for like what savings I had, and from like when I was working, and I actually had opened a life insurance when I was up in the States, and because it had like a cash value, when I had come down, I close it, I get penalties, but I end up getting the money that I had in the cash value, which I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked at how much it was for the short period of time. But anyways, yeah, so really gotta be like a hustler, a entrepreneur. You gotta be apt. You gotta be a problem solver if you want to advance in life, because life gonna throw things at you always. So you gotta know how you're going to bounce back and pivot and dodge it and roll and rock. So yeah, one thing for sure too. Like I say, I ain't afraid of hard work. I'll do the work. I do all kind of work. I do, like I said, work doing steel pan for a long period of my life, which that actually is very, productive. Technical tactics with timing. We always on top of it. Okay, good. Yeah, blessings cause. Welcome, my cousin Alfred. That's my loving cousin that was up in Miami with me. So love alone, cause yeah, the love always there. But yeah, so yeah, man, I ain't afraid of work. We productive, we activo. Yeah, we don't play about that. We get up and go and get it. So yeah, like I said, steel pan, and even with the steel pan, it was strenuous work because you gotta set up, you gotta break down, then during the performance you gotta perform. You're on your foot for at least an hour, 2 hours, and yeah, you gotta be dancing, smiling, jumping around. Yeah, entertainer. You're an entertainer, so I do all kind of work. I do construction work, like I say, mixing cement, fixing cracks, painting, pinning in window, all kind of thing, drilling, putting up shutter, all kind of thing. I do landscaping, like cutting grass, IT installations, like installing cameras, and even like when people got issues with like the printer or the computer, they call me and thing. I do little things like that as well too, like troubleshooting. That was, I would say, the brunt of my official work. So majority of my work experience is customer service, but like being as I have a degree in computer science, I worked in like technical and, let me say, IT technician field and things along that line. So let me say, like when I come back to St. Martin, I had get a job. I was working by the medical school, AUC, as endpoint technician, whereas I was doing various things, managing the rooms, so all the equipment in the rooms, the sound systems, the like visuals, the TVs, and the like smart boards and all these different things, troubleshooting any issues or making sure they running optimally. I was the one that had to like support any live events we had. So let me say, like if they had like white coat or graduation, I was the one had to set up, make sure everything running good, and then be there during to make sure nothing don't happen. I used to have to work hand in hand with, like collaborate with a gentleman, Canny TV mainly. He used to be there, Joel. Big up Joel one time. He used to be like the live stream guy when we used to have like, especially during COVID, where things was like more virtual. Like we used to have to do like a lot of live streams. So I used to have to help support with that. I used to have to be doing videography and photography. So let me say, like in the school, whenever they had like, let me say the professor needed to record some type of content of like maybe a palpitation technique or whatever to be like they used to have like standardized patients, so like sometimes they'll like record the interactions with the students and the standardized patients, which is like kind of like a actor in a sense, like a person they train to act in a certain way, like they have a certain sickness or pain or whatever, so that the student now could have a real world experience of dealing with patients and thing in a like clinical setting. Anyway, so I used to have to like record these things, edit. So that's where I used to be into those things already, but that's where I could say I really honed my like video editing skills and thing. I used to have to use like Adobe Premiere, Photoshop. Now I use a lot of DaVinci Resolve and CapCut. But yeah, so all these different things, like I used to have to be like a Zoom moderator when they have like events on Zoom or whatever. Like I say, I work doing all kind of things. I used to be doing car wash. I used to do like mechanical work, like changing oil and changing brakes and different things for people, and different things along those lines. I used to make like natural juices. Like I literally was, and I like at that point in my time, I would say, which this was like up to last year. I would say I was kind of stretching myself too thin and honestly on the verge of burnout, because I was doing landscaping, so going like cleaning people yard and thing like when it overgrown. So I actually like that though. I just like the transformation involved. Like I like to see things go from like nothing to something, or like go from disorder to order. So I could say that as well, like make me like that, and I know the work good because I grew up in agriculture. So from a little boy, I using a machine. You know, but yeah, I used to have to go do the work, then afterwards go like organize myself for like farmers market and things. So let me say I gotta go get my produce, go get coconuts to chop out, make whatever other juice, whether it's passion fruit. Usually my mother used to help me out with the ginger and the tamarind, but everything else I used to do. And it really was unsustainable, I'll say. And on top of that, in between, when people need like camera installations and things done, I'll go do that too. So I really was just all over the place. And yeah, I really tell myself like I had to take a break, put things in perspective, which I gotta shout out my Uncle Josias for that too. We had a conversation and he said tell me like, "Bah, you spreading yourself too thin. Like you want to do everything. All these things is viable things you're doing, but you can't do everything else. Nothing can get done," which I agree. And okay, go and tint man too. Let them know whatever you need, whatever you need. I put sound system in people car, and yeah, I changed like screen, put backup camera, change all of the speakers and the doors, add subwoofer, all kind of thing. I am well versed, I could say. God bless. I thank God for all the skills I have attained in my life. You know? But yeah, honestly, I appreciate all the implementation skills I have, but I decided to shift and focus more on the creation aspect of life, instead of implementation. So for the past weeks, months, that has been my mission and my goal, and that's why I decided to do this podcast as well, because I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of things in the shadows, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I gotta start sharing. I gotta spread the word. And on top of that, like how I talk about like my campaign and thing, like I say, most people probably look at me and think, oh yeah, agriculture man. Like when they see me, they probably think, oh yeah, agriculture. But like I say, I have a lot of other ideas. I have a lot of brains for a lot of other things. And especially during my campaign, even now, even since election done, I had to go places and I had to find myself in big conversations with people about different topics and thing. And I say like instead of me doing like one on one or like even like in a kind of setting like that, I say like let me make it more global. Let me spread the word and like let my voice be heard, let my people free, that kind of ones. So yeah, I say like I am on this journey now, and like I say, my mindset is more business and talking about business and investments, but yeah, I'm gonna implement or in intertwine a little bit of the solutions in between it too, because honestly all of it is interconnected, everything is connected. And you'll be surprised how like we say the motivational message could tie into the solution, because now when you're feeling when you get a solution to a problem that you've been facing, you feel empowered, and that empowered feeling is all part of the the thing. So yeah, basically to kind of start to wrap things up, I'll just touch a little bit on the campaigning and in the Toastmasters. So I could say straight up, I never expected to be in politics. I could say, like I say, growing up, I was always around it. Like I remember going to the rallies and things with my father. I remember like going, being in the different people houses, or even when like they doing the numbers, calling the numbers and things, like going by like Cooch down Cold Bay. Used to be like Cooch a lot, because Cooch, my father and Cooch was like starring partners. But and yeah, I used to be around it a lot. But when I had grew up, I used to tell my father like, "Bye, look, politics ain't for me. because you could make a lot of change without being in there yourself. Like once you have the right backing and the right investments, or the right finances behind you. So honestly too, if you really observe it, it does be the people with the financing and the backing who does actually make the changes or make things happen. But anyways, I when I was younger, I used to say dying for me. I ain't gonna get into that. Like you could ask my sister right there, Ashanti Olivia Williams. You could ask her. He used to ask her to tell her, yeah, get into it. I get into it. When you talk about being a teacher, go into politics. Oh, well, he catch one, and I know he happy because yeah, like I say, I really was not on that run. I like if you had asked me that like 2022, 2023, I would have tell you, but I know. But I had a dispute with my former employer, and I feel like that there was one of the biggest things that propelled me into politics. Yeah, you see the future, and that the thing, you gotta have vision in life. You gotta see what in there before you reach, and I got vision for sure. But yeah. So after I went through my dispute, my disagreement with my former employer, I really started to observe things like I always found myself in conversation talking about, yeah, this person talking about this problem and that problem, and this one need to fix and that one need to fix, and it's like a lot of things need to fix, and it's like we've really been unfairly treated and in a lot of different ways. But employment injustice is one of the ones I really was strongly about. So honestly, I was championing both agriculture and employment injustice, but the employment injustice kind of end up getting pushed to the wayside. But yeah, I I went through that situation, and I say like I could imagine the amount of people that went through that or worse, and ain't got nobody that could do nothing for them, or maybe like because they ain't, let me say, know the game as much as me, they just get run over. And I say like, no man, like it needs somebody that really want to fight for the people, want do things for his country and his people, and try to elevate things for the better. And like I say, I always used to say like dying for me, but after that situation, it bring a transition in my life that told me like, you know what, which I never been the person to wait and hope on nobody else, but it really put me in a perspective like, you know what, instead of waiting and hoping somebody else go and fix things, like I gonna take it upon myself to go and try to fix things for the better. So I like I said, I have a lot of ideas, a lot of solutions I could share, you know. But just know that for me, it ain't just talk, it ain't just, oh yeah, a nice face or popularity. Like for me, it's like I really bout it. I bout what I say all the time. And yeah, for Toastmasters, I I am a lover of the program. I could tell you that with all conviction. I love Toastmasters. I'm very glad I joined the program, and I'm very glad I joined the club I joined. And yeah, honestly, from a little boy, I remember my mother talking about Toastmasters and hearing her like being in Toastmasters and things along that nature. But it's only when I would say 2023 I joined officially, and like I say, I'm glad I did. truthfully, from the first meeting I went to, I was intrigued. It was interesting. It was fun. So it was like you was learning things, educational, but it wasn't like just a uptight vibe. It was like a fun, engaging environment. Like they had jokes, people were laughing, like literally the whole room was out laughing at a few points in the meeting. And yeah, like I don't know, like some people might feel like, oh yeah, Toastmasters, everybody's so uptight but for me the experience was grand. And I could say after that first meeting I went to every other meeting, and after I joined I basically ain't missed no meetings since I joined. And even this year, okay, the Toastmasters year is from July, like so from June 30th to July 1st to June 30th, so my goal for this year was to have 100% attendance for the whole Toastmasters year. But unfortunately, right in the end, I gonna miss it because being as I say, I going to Bonea in like 2 weeks. Exactly the Sunday of the meeting is when I traveling to come back, and my flight is after the meeting. So unfortunately, I gonna miss that one. I was telling them like, bye, maybe if I could set up a Zoom for me, but still, but yeah, for sure, I could say I love the Toastmasters. I love the Toastmasters bad, and I could say for sure I have grown within the program since joining the program. Like I say, like for me, I never been afraid of public speaking from a little boy. I grew out of that, but for me it was more like polishing my communication skills and like business, like a business wise to like lead generation and just pitching and bringing yourself across in the best manner, so like let me say the art of persuasion, so it's like purpose and audience, like I learned in my college from my college English writing professor, Mr. Christensen. He said purpose and audience. You gotta know the purpose of what you're saying. So why are you saying it and who you're saying it to? So let me say like if you know that you're talking to somebody and they like art, maybe mention something about art because that would like connect more with them, and that might get them to gravitate more towards what you're saying. So I had always liked that quote when he said that, and it really stuck with me. And he even used the analogy of, let's say, like if you go on a job interview and maybe the job interview ain't going well, but then you notice like the person interviewing you have a picture in the back, which I just want to mention. I hope I like my St. Martin portrait. I specifically chose to make this my background for this podcast because for sure St. Martin always on my back and I always there for it. But anyways, so he mentioned that, yeah, let me say the interview ain't going well. You could always mention that, let's say like you point out the art, and then they themselves may be shocked like, yeah, like what you know about that, and then you end up in a big conversation with them talking about like Mozart and Picasso and all of that, and then you get a job after it was actually rocky in the beginning. So all those things, that analogy really stuck with me, like I say, and that phrase, because that's what life is about now, like communication. No matter how we feel like, yeah, we're gonna just close up or we're gonna be hard to yourself and thing, like you have to interact with people. Even the most wealthiest people that checking their clothes up, nobody can come and talk to them and thing. They still depending on somebody. They still have somebody that gotta come with a clean the yard or clean the car or whatever it is. That's somebody that they have to interact with. So no matter the person you be, you need other people. You need people. So that's, like I say, one thing I always do promote unity, because they have strength in unity always. Always. You know, like they say, divided you fall, united you stand. You know? And I believe in that. One hand wash another always. One hand can never clap, you know. So yeah. That's me. That's why I'm here with you today. Like I said, I could say for sure, since joining Toastmasters, I grow. Even doing this, right now I am actually the public relations officer in my club. So that's what is big, this big one for. I gotta look up to make sure I see how you see me. But yeah, so the big one is the VPPR, and then the other one is like just my normal Toastmasters badge. They actually got 100 pin. I want that bad boy, but don't worry, I can get my 100 pin. But yeah. So like I say, I decided to put this together because I wanted an outlet. I wanted to share with you all, and I hope as time progresses that I could be an inspiration for all of you all. And I gotta thank all you once again for coming on and rocking with me, for being here. Because, like I say, you don't have to, but you choose to, so I appreciate it. Love alone, love and blessings. And yeah, I really appreciate y'all for joining on my first episode of the All Over It podcast. This is surely just the beginning. Like I say, I don't know if I want to start from next week on the investments, but I know for sure I already have my structure for the next episode, what I want to talk about, but I just studying if I want to throw in the personal investment portion as well. And maybe I might put like a poll out. Let me know. Poll. If I should just come one time, investments. But that's what we all about now. Ownership. Yeah, we taking ownership of our life. And ownership of these businesses are doing great. Telling you, I like Meta. Oh God, Nvidia, Netflix. Netflix going crazy right now in the market. Crazy. But anyways, yeah. So I thank you for joining me on this first episode. Like I said, just the beginning. Every week, every single week, we're gonna dive deeper and deeper and get realer and just uncover more of what matters. Because to me, what matters is financial freedom and togetherness. I think that's the simplest way I could sum it up. So like I say, if I had to sum up this podcast in one word, it would be empowerment. I here to empower you. That's all I here for. So like I say every week, the only thing I studying, if I want to do one when I go to Bonia, because certain variables unknown right now. We're checking I know how the internet connection gonna be, and then I'm gonna have to work with certain of these other equipment if I can do that, certain different things. But I could make it happen always. We always could do that, and I could maybe do like talking about Bonia and why they are maybe incorporate a little bit of the agriculture talk in it. So I could do it, and I could make it happen always. That's me, But studying if it would be worth it for you, So I'll do that. I'll put 2 polls. So if not before the next podcast next week, for sure by the next podcast, I go in and do a poll and ask everybody what they think. Whether you think I should do this live when I go Pune or not or and if I should start with a personal investment journey from next week. So yeah, about to start wrapping up. I okay. About to start wrapping up. Like I said, thank you guys for joining. It's love alone. I hope you feel me. I hope you appreciate or you like the content. You know, if you do, just like, follow, subscribe. Like I say, more coming, more coming. And share it with somebody who needs it, who needs the inspiration, who needs the motivation. New episodes coming every Monday, 7 p.m. I'm gonna be right here with you. Yeah, right here with you. So yeah, I'm gonna be right here, same time, same energy, 7 p.m. Monday, live and direct. So yeah. Let me see before I go, who all in the chat, man? Who all in the chat? Let me see who there with me still. Hey Eva, blessings, yeah Eva. See you join in 2016. Okay. ETM Eva says she joined Toastmasters since 2016. Yeah, great organization self. Yeah. All of us see something in all of us, yeah. Like I just say, save the best for last, yeah. Okay, good. You see? I say, I had to make a good debut. I had to look good to spend time with all you here tonight, So I had to start on a good foot. So not every day I can be dressy like this, but I say, I had to for today. I had to start strong, start good. First impressions last a lifetime, People remember the first time they meet you and thing, So that's what it's all about, That's what it's all about. Unity, togetherness. That's why I say reigniting the fire within St. Martin. I just trying to wake up people and inspire people and show them like, yeah, what it could be, what they sleeping on themselves, So yeah, like I say, that's what it's about. Business, but motivation, inspiration, empowerment. Yeah. And that's why business is the forefront of it, because once you feeling good financially, you're feeling good kind of all around. Once your finances in order, you feel like you can conquer anything. What you say? If you got a little money in your pocket, you don't worry about no problem because you're checking, man, I could get a fix. Yeah. So yeah, love alone. I thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Like I say, about to wrap it up here. Any questions, anything you have, you could keep leaving comments, leave chat. I will respond to you. I am active, so don't feel like you can just get a dry hail and thing. So of course the people that I already see the comments of, I ain't gonna really go back and respond. But yeah, love alone. I appreciate all you for joining. I appreciate all you for joining on both platforms. Yeah, both YouTube and Facebook. And trust me, really promoting and pushing all of my social media. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X. I actually have TikTok too, but I ain't gonna lie, I working on advancing my short form video skills. So all those things is going to be a great added skill under my belt, but also is going to help with the promotion. But also, I have to be honest, TikTok is like the biggest platform right now, especially for lives and video content. So I gotta give Jack his jacket, as the old people say. Thank you very much, Ava. Like I say, just a start. And yeah, one time since I talked about TikTok, I gotta big up, shout out my girl, the Oracle. She made body yesterday, so I gotta give her a big up right here. One time. Hey, big up, cause what going on, Sam? Hey, bless it. We deal with it. Yeah, man. We deal with it. This is my highlight to everything, Donna. I tell you now, like, for me, you don't even know what I went through to get this. I spent maybe almost $100 just for this. Well, I think over $100, because I had the picture. I had to get it resized, so I had to pay like maybe 40 something. Some amount of money for that. Then I had to buy the frame. But yeah, blessings. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Love alone, love and blessing. Like I say, I hear every week, straight, faithfully. You have to bring order to life. Just like God in the beginning of the world, He saw there was disorder and darkness. And He said, no, that can't stay so. You have to organize things and put things in place how it's supposed to. So that's what I'm doing with my life now. I organizing myself, bringing order to the disorder and the vast darkness, bringing light to me and enlightenment to you. So that's the vibes. And once a man could do something consistent, that's a good sign. That shows determination. That shows that you have discipline. So like I said, credit to those years in steel pan. I got a little bit of consistency in me. I could stay on a track for a while. Like I say, my Toastmasters, since I joined, I basically went every meeting. But like I say, this year I really was on a goal to have 100% attendance, and literally the Toastmasters year ending June 30th, sorry, and look at that, May 25th is when I gonna miss it. So like a month before the year end, I catch all the rest of them. But yeah, that's how life goes. God's plan is always greater. So I can also be posting my Toastmasters speeches. I post a few already, like 3, but I have quite a bit. Well, let me not say quite a bit. At least like 10 that I could post so far. And I say like moving forward, I can make sure record all the other ones I do, and I can be posting on my YouTube channel as well. So for anybody who on my YouTube, who joined on the YouTube, you can be seeing those periodically as well. But of course, once I share it on YouTube, I can just make a post for it on Facebook too. So I can be showing designs eventually. I actually getting into like doing 3D renders. So I don't start already. I went to do like a LiDAR scan of a place that I'm working on. So all these things coming, because right now I doing this podcast, but like work-wise, business-wise, I looking at like business, agriculture-wise, but also real estate-wise. So all of these things, you gotta develop, and I have ideas in my head, so now is to bring them to reality through putting them on paper or on computer, wherever to be, but making it real, so that's what it is. It all starts with an idea, and then you jot it down, and then you research and you build on it, and then you execute it. And once you execute, you just keep growing it. So that's my plan with everything. That's my plan with this podcast. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Like I say, every week I write here. I appreciate you for joining. Catch me right here next week, Monday, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Yeah, I had to go study to see what I be. What is our time zone, so I can make sure everybody covered. Yeah, don't worry, I on top of everything. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Dear neighbor, blessings, blessings. Yo. But yeah, like I say, if you feel this, hit a like, subscribe, follow, everything, and yeah. Once again, thanks for rocking with me for my debut episode. More content to come. Yeah, so I here to uncover it all, because I am all over it. So until next time, stay locked in, stay growing, stay all over it. I don't know, love alone. Blessings.